Dr. Bayu. I hope all of you are doing well.
Yeah, well. Good morning. We are doing good.
Great, great.
Well, under the circumstances, yes.
Good. So let me start off with you, Senyo. Listening to some of the parents and those who've taken the awards to school, they say, well, so far so good. The protocols are being adhered to. Looks like everything is going on course now. Your initial comments, having listened to all these.
Well, kids going back to school is a very difficult decision that almost every parent will have to take at this time. You have to balance the need to sustain education because we can also have a lost generation in our country. It has a long-term economic implication on us as a people and also a sustainability risk for us as a people. But we have to balance it properly. I've held the view that for schools that can actually operate virtual, that must be the case. That must be the path to play. And those who will have to work physical, we have to find ways of really enforcing the protocols. It's easy to start something in Ghana. Sustaining it in Ghana is often the problem. And these are kids. With what we are having now, the high risk of further infections, it will be there with school. And parents must be very aware of that. I have advised families that can't afford, if your children are really going to be there, you should be taking frequent tests, at least once a month as a family, so you can have early detection of an infection, and then you can take steps to cure it, because it really be counterproductive for us to have our children in school, likely going to be asymptomatic when they pick up the virus, and come to affect parents and grannies who will pass on and leave their children parentless. So that's a big risk you have to manage. It's not a risk that should really stop us from necessarily schooling when we have little options, but I think that to the extent that we can, we should manage it. I would really want to advise government that for places where we can start exploring empowering our students with a lot more ICT equipment that can still keep a part of the school significantly virtual, we should look at those investments. I'm sure if we really check on a lot of the waste and through overspending, reckless spending, and on corruption, we should be able to really fund about half the schools in Accra with and have every child have an ICT equipment. But there are some areas that are still a bit impractical. Even at home, they are overmingling and playing anyway. But you may need to keep them in school. But if that is done, there should be a mechanism for constant testing to preempt the negative effect of COVID on the various families.
Okay, let me get to you, Dr. Bayu. I mean, from a health person's point of view, you've heard these parents talk about the situation. So far, it seems good.
Yeah, it is good. I'm also a parent, and I'm also equally concerned.
Have you taken your children to school?
They had to. This morning, I had to send off my two boys to school. Fact is, the school is an extension of the community. And as far as I'm concerned, if we do not have the situation under control in the community, we cannot create a false niche in the school that is supposed to be safe. So it's a challenging time, but I think on the balance of risk, it's important for them to go to school. But we must try as a community to stop this virus from moving by adhering to the protocols. Only then can the schools be safe. We are emphasizing all the protocols in the school. I've heard it all. But if your child sat in a trotro where no one was wearing a mask, and you get to the school and all these protocols are being observed, how worrying can that be? I mean, if that child will be coming back through a community that nobody's observing any protocol, but in the school, all the protocols are being observed, what is the benefit? So I'm really worried about the community at large, because what happens in the school is a reflection. And for someone like me, I'm a doctor, my wife is a doctor. If anything at all, I think my home is even more dangerous than the school, because I encounter patients and I have to come home and meet my kids. So if I don't take the precautions and I'm thinking that school is dangerous for my kids, my home may be even more dangerous. So I think we have to look at the general control, and that can help us.
Okay. Let me get Kwame in at this point. Kwame, so you say under the circumstances, everything is going on well. But, Dr. Bayu has been talking about the community and the need to also focus a lot more on the community, because, yes, they are in school things may be going on right, but what if the larger community beyond the school, if they leave school and some would have to use our public transport systems where persons are not practicing social distancing and are not wearing masks, then what happens to them?
Thanks, Winston. I mean, this is a concern I've had as well. It's interesting because on Saturday I was on Newsfile with Dr. Bayo, and we both shared similar views about the community. But I'd want to go further based on what the president said yesterday, that we have new variants in our community. This changes the shape of the game considerably, because reading about the new variants says that they are between 30 and 70% more contagious than the original virus that came out of China. And therefore, even less interaction can lead to higher probability of contagion, which then means that our emphasis should be on the communities to cut down the community spread. Because if we don't cut down the community spread, then we are going to have infections in our school. And let me be blunt about something. We would have infections in our school. That is a given. But I agree with Senor to the extent that as parents and as families, we need to be responsible that when these things happen, we are proactive and we identify them early enough by being proactive and testing ourselves rather than waiting for the outbreaks to come. Because if we did that, probably we could be even the identifiers of these outbreaks before the school gets aware. Bear in mind that children are often asymptomatic or mildly symptomatic, and the chances of them feeling unwell when they get infected is extremely low. So that's what I would say initially, that we need to take some amount of the responsibility now that the schools are open, as parents, as communities, even I would say as churches, because it's not beyond churches to say, or mosques to say, every week, let's get randomly 30 people tested from here to see if we are becoming a hive of infection. These proactive things are the only way, as a society, we can get rid of this virus and make our schools safe.
Thank you very much, Kwame. Mr. Youngson.
Do you know, I've been thinking about something. It's true that our kids, even before we brought them to school, because they were at home with us and in the community, there was a certain level of risk that they were forced to live with anyway. But now we're bringing them together. And this is a disease that passes from person to person in close proximity. Anytime you organize an event where people come together, you are increasing the risk. Every time so when you open a school and you send the children there, you are increasing the risk. That's a fact. Now, the question is, have we done enough to mitigate that increased risk? That is the only way to determine whether our children are safe in school or not. Have we done enough? Unfortunately, it doesn't seem as if those responsible for the decisions to do enough are sure that they've done enough. The president spoke yesterday and he said that whether or not the schools remain open will be determined by how well the children and teachers adhere, and I guess parents as well, adhere to the protocols. So unfortunately, it sounds as if we are experimenting with this reopening. We want to see whether the kids can follow the protocols. If they can't, then we'll shut it down. I don't want anyone to experiment with my children. If we follow the line of logic, opening the school increases the risk. We are creating an increased risk, but we don't know whether we can mitigate it. We don't know whether we can keep the children safe. So we are saying that if we are unable to keep them safe, then we will shut down the schools. That is scary. In the same breath, they are reassuring us. You hear the Ghana Health Service yesterday on TV, on the Joy News channel, on the Probe with MFR Apeu. You heard the Ghana Health Service insisting that, look, even when the numbers were worse, when we had larger numbers of live cases or active cases, we were still able to bring the JHS and SHS kids in. So why should we not be able to bring them in at this point? But at this point, things are different. Our healthcare facilities are full. In fact, Senor, I don't know what the situation is with the facility that you and many Ghanaians contributed and worked hard to build. I don't know whether it's functioning. It's operational and it's full.
Well, I think they are facing the admissions. So
right.
Every phase that is set is fully exhausted.
Imagine that.
They have today, God willing, Kolebo will be releasing medics in there, and they'll be able to probably increase their capacity to manage a bit more patients. It's ready for full utilization. It's just resourcing it with the right personnel. It's been quite a journey, and I think there's been a lot more pressure now.
Yeah.
And so, Dr. Luvakomi is doing a great job over there. He's doing a fantastic job. I think he should be commended.
We're glad for people like that. Yeah. But I guess the whole point I'm making, and I will summarize on this one. The point I'm making is this: our healthcare facilities are strained. The president himself admits they are full. We have less than 2,000 active cases, and our hospitals in Ghana, our treatment centers for COVID in Ghana are full. Less than 2,000. By the way, bearing in mind, the vast majority of those 2,000 will be asymptomatic. So the number of those who actually need to be in a hospital are very small, yet our hospitals are full. And this is the time that we are sending the kids to school to experiment and see whether or not they can, adhere to COVID protocols. It's a dangerous time, and I don't think we are treating it as such.
Kojo has a very, very bad
So what we'll do is that we'll come back and, continue from there. We'll start off from, Kojo's point about this. We'll also get to Kumasi and find out the situation in Kumasi. I know you don't want to make a point, Kwame, but that'll be after these few messages. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I want you to first think big, not small. Think of how great we can be when we work together. Together, we can ensure that our hard work will provide a better future. Together, we can provide a foundation for you and your business to succeed, regardless of its size. Together, we can create opportunities for all. Bank with us today and let's journey forward together. Forward together. Cowbank, forward together.
Promotion! The Millennium Insurance Freebie season is here again. Renew your existing motor insurance or buy insurance from Millennium and get various cool items. Rush now! Offer remains while stocks last. Terms and conditions apply. Millennium Insurance, your trustworthy partner.
Na lamte busianye last week Nasu this week busianye. As Lamte here say GoTV Max drop in price from 70 Ghana cedis to 60 Ghana cedis month. They didn't delay Omoko upgrading one time. CCA ye the sports, entertainment, kids shows, and in Yama Bebre, Abre Lamte Busiamo Monia Giabroso. Be like the Lamte family. Upgrade the GoTV Max CCA. Tier 60 Ghana cedis. Now enjoy maximum entertainment for less. Cafe Dokra. Use the GoTV app no for connect with GoTV Max so. And I could pay by the point agent to be in your area for maximum entertainment. Offer valid from 14th January to 31st March 2021. T's and C's apply. GoTV. Love it.
Thank you very much for joining us. Sometimes I wish while we're on break, you can hear all the conversations going on. Interesting conversations going on. And we'll get back to those conversations. But carrying cash is so last season. Well, the new best season is paying with your card, whether making payments from a POS machine or online. Get a quick assist using your contactless Absa vertical cards and get great discounts from our partners. Now, its contactless feature allows you to pay with a tap on the POS machine, making it even safer this COVID-19 period. You get to enjoy up to 40% discount when you pay with the card at an Absa partner. So get a card assist from Absa and get things done. Now that's Africanacity and that's Absa. Absa, the official banking partner of the Premier League. Visit absa.com.gh Terms and conditions apply. Please follow all COVID-19 protocols this season. And start off the year by stepping up with DSTV. Now, DSTV will be giving you more of the entertainment you and your family like. So fasten your seatbelts as DSTV takes you higher with more epic live soccer, exciting local drama, and the best kids show. Now, my people, all you have to do is, starting from 14th January to 31st March, upgrade your current DSTV package to the next one, and DSTV will bump you up to the one above that at no extra cost. It's that simple. For example, let's say you have access. All you have to do is to pay for family, and DSTV will give you compact at no extra cost. Follow us with the hashtag DSTV Step Up for more, or call us on 0302 740 540. And you know that, as always, MTN wants you to experience the safest and most secure way to enjoy MTN Momo. And that's why from the 1st of February 2021, you'll be required to present a valid national ID card anytime you visit a Momo agent point to perform a transaction. Please note that this is to help you keep receiving cash and just handling your transactions in a safe and secured way. Now, that's why we're good together. Just Momo it everywhere you go. So, Kojo has made that point, and Kwame, you wanted to come in and say something about it. Yes, let's hear you, and then we get in studio to have the conversation further.
Right. All I wanted to say was Kojo makes a very relevant point that I was going to make later on, but now that he said it, I'll make it. If you look at our testing regime, and Dr. Bayo will bear me out with this currently, over 65% of all our testing happens at the Kotoka International Airport. That leaves about roughly another 15% that happens because people either are traveling out of the country, work on mines, oil rigs, and stuff like that where they need mandatory testing. The actual testing that happens in country is about 10 to 12%. Now here's the thing. If you look at our active cases, only 25% of the cases are due to Kotoka International Airport. The remaining 75% of cases are as a result of in-country testing. What does that tell you? It tells you that a lot of the people who are going into our hospitals and getting tested, because now you cannot get a free test out of hospital. You have to go, and the health professional has to say that you fit the case definition before they get you tested. So in actual fact, the mildly symptomatic or asymptomatic people are not part of our active cases. Those ones are working in the community and spreading the disease. That makes what Kojo Yanchin said even more scary when you go down the statistics. And I'm quite sure if you ask Dr. Bayo, he would be able to explain this more to you, because that's one of the things that needs to be changed moving forward. We need to have more test-free testing, because the cost of testing in the community is becoming a challenge and is becoming a barrier to us fighting this virus.
I don't know.
You know what? I'll get to you, Dr. Bayo, but let me get to Kumasi and find out how they also, schools have reopened and the situation in Kumasi. Nana Ojima is our correspondent. He's with Love FM. Nana, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, Winston.
Yeah, so Nana, tell us what's happening in Kumasi with schools reopening today.
So I've been to a number of schools, some public and others private, and some are in the first and some are also in the second tier of education. That's the basic level and the senior high school level I'm speaking about. And most of these schools are well adhering to the COVID-19 protocol. As expected, we have the buckets at the entrance of these schools, and also within the front of the schools, there are also very buckets. These students are adhering to the protocol. And also teachers in all these schools are on campus, and they are also that students go about their normal duties adhering to all protocols. The unfortunate thing that I have observed so far is that most of these students, especially those in the public schools, walk to school without the nose mask, and some of them walk with kids. So if any of them have the virus, it means that this students with the virus can transfer it.
Well, Nana, I think we'll have to get back to you. The line is a bit bad, so we'll get back to you, Nana. But let me get to you, Dr. Bayo. So Kwame's raised a very important point. Could you start the conversation about, number of asymptomatic cases. And Kwame brings in the point that, currently what we're doing is that, we're testing those who fit the, COVID symptoms. And so a lot of the asymptomatic people are not getting tested, and they're going round having conversations, sitting down with us, and infecting people. Clearly, this is a major issue of concern.
It is a very major issue of concern. In fact, the Medical Association had a course in our last statement to say that the situation is dire and it's alarming. But some media houses thought that we're trying to call mass hysteria or fear in the society. Fortunately, I think the president in his statement admitted as well that the situation is getting out of hand. Now, not just asymptomatic people. As a clinician, I have encountered people who would come to you or call you and tell you something that you can bet your last coin that this is most likely COVID. Now, if they don't go through the normal system, and the normal system of getting a test down now, it's not as smooth as before. And the private labs are expensive. Now, what gives us worry in terms of the figures? If you want to know what the real situation is, and I think, again, the president alluded to that yesterday when he said the private labs are supposed to do real-time upload of their data. We had concern to say that most of the people who get tested at these private labs, it appears their data is not being captured. So this infection rate statistics that has been given.
No, frankly, it's so embarrassing that the president will have to come and say this. How many months? Almost close to a year on. Was this rocket science? I mean, this kind of embarrassing thing must stop in this country.
So you realize that the figures on which we've been making most of our statements and policies, and we are doing well and all of that, a lot of us had concern that it is possible.
Hold on a minute.
Yes.
The possibility
is
what I'm interested in. How can it be possible that private labs would not be reporting cases when, as part of the reasons why they were giving licenses to do these, it's part of the protocols?
So, in fact, for their accreditation, they needed to be hooked onto the system.
Yes.
For that to even happen.
Exactly.
Now, our evidence that we think that this is not being done is the fact that if they were reporting their data to the health system accurately, then everybody who gets tested should be known by the health system. Now, you have symptomatic people at home who have been tested at the private lab. No one is contacting them.
Nobody.
And they are harassing doctors. They're harassing friends.
For treatment.
Just to find a place to go for treatment. Some are asking for buying. People are buying all sorts of things on their own because nobody is calling them to. You see, even if you are being managed, doing home management, which is acceptable standard practice, the system should be aware that you are being managed at home.
And in a position to monitor.
And somebody is calling you. That gives you reassurance that if my situation gets worse, I can't be moved. There is a family that called me. They have been tested at a private place. In fact, I took their personal data, forwarded it to the people in the Ghana Health Service, trying to make sure that they are even registered on the system just in case their situation gets worse. 3 days, nobody had called them. And this is me trying to link them up to the system.
These are confirmed cases, not even tracing.
No, confirmed who have been tested positive.
Look,
So
somebody has,
eventually,
for the president to really take these number of months and now come and announce this as president, it's an embarrassment to his government. Somebody should be fired for this. When you were rolling out private testing, was this rocket science for you to put in the protocols to ensure this is done? Somebody was failing to do his job. And we keep feeding the presidency and government with false data, and then feed the public with false data, and we expect to get what from the public.
And we are making policy decisions based
on false data.
Look,
recklessness.
I have a friend who became very ill with COVID-19. He got tested, was positive. Now, he wasn't kept in a hospital. That's the first problem. Even though he was positive and had symptoms, severe body pains and coughs and all the symptoms you would expect, loss of sense of smell and everything. He was sent home. His wife didn't have any symptoms. His 2 children didn't have any symptoms. But they live in the same home with him, and he became very sick before he was tested and found to be positive. So you can imagine that the chances of them being positive, even though asymptomatic, are very high. Now, when I spoke to my friend and I asked him whether he had had his wife and children tested, he said that his wife decided that Even if she gets tested and she's positive, all they will do is give her medicine and send her home. So instead of spending 300 cedis on herself, 300 on each of her 2 children to get tested, she just decided that she's going to assume that they are positive and keep the children at home. But she kept going to work. She kept going to work. Now, the system, how will the system even capture these people?
And you know,
and do you think that family is unique?
And until to stop this virus from moving, it is critical that the testing regime changes. If you know your status, you'll be reckless to go out and spread it. But if you do not know, how can someone blame you from going about your normal duties? If I lose my sense of smell, it's a symptom, a strong symptom for COVID-19. If I don't have any test to prove it, will that be enough justification to stay at home? And if I move around, what am I doing to the virus?
That's also a function of the loss of tracing.
Yes,
so I was having a debate with somebody this weekend, and after following my rant on Facebook that went viral, and the interview you guys had with me, I mean, what should government do? I said the problem you have right now is the government. And I think people should start taking responsibility. There's a reason why we really put people in public office, and we expect leadership from government. The public, the last person you should start calling reckless with this surge is the public. And I heard Kojo Oponro, and I found it very unfortunate that he's sitting where he is really trying to sit and trying to call the general Ghanaian public reckless. Don't go there. When this started, people need leadership. And it's for that reason that we vote people into places of authority. We watch their behavior and we learn from them. We get guided by them. What did you see the leaders of our country do in the last 3 months? Organizing walks, organizing parties. Sandbox was opened. We can't sit here and talk as if we don't know who has an a directing mind on Sandbox. Twist was opened. Big politicians were having parties in there. We're sharing low numbers when we knew the numbers were high. We were not tracing deliberately, in my opinion, as I can see it, one, mainly to suppress the official data. When people are thinking that the thing is gone and they are watching your own behavior, what do you expect them to do? Who has been reckless here? Don't call the people of Ghana reckless. Show good leadership, and that's what we need. We need honesty. Let the data be real. Let people realize that the disease is really there. I was at Antimony just yesterday, and I was advising people to be careful. This thing is really back. Keep your mask on. Don't pull it back on your chin. No, don't play with this thing. Say, now you're not doing Sayako. Why would they not drink Sayako when the same politicians who are supposed to be showing leadership, the leaders of our country, not called politicians, leaders of our country, are organizing rallies, creating all these kind of environments that would actually create a widespread of this entire thing.
And by
Please,
the way,
don't call the people of Ghana reckless. Show good leadership.
Could I come in?
Sure. Yeah, Kwame.
You see, I like to do things by the numbers, as you all know. There's something about COVID, and again, Titus will bear me out. It is called the public health domino effect, which means as the number of positive tests go up, the number of hospitalizations go up, then unfortunately the number of mortalities go up. So the mortalities generally happen between the 16th and the 42nd day, because people will get unwell, then they start deteriorating, then they go into ICU and they die. And then there's another category of mortalities which happen within the first 72 hours, and those are the ones who don't report early. Like Senga was saying, they stay at home, they assume that they can manage it at home, their oxygen partial pressures go down, they get into the hospital, and they are so debilitated, their end organs are giving up, and unfortunately they pass away quickly. Why am I making this connection? Because what it says is that the number of mortalities that the President was talking of that have happened in the last 2 weeks originated from the beginning of December, end of November. They are not mortalities due to infections that have happened today. So when I hear politicians who should be looking at the statistics and the epidemiological trends of the disease we're dealing with, making comments like the Ghanaian has been reckless, I ask myself a simple question. Now, who caused them? Who was in charge of the mass gatherings at the time that these infections that have led to death happened? Who was telling Ghanaians that mass gatherings, look, the ironies are so disconcerting.
I'm tired of politicians feeling holier than the Pope.
The same people who told us that mass gatherings are not, from our data, a significant cause of contagion when it comes to COVID in Ghana, are the same people who are telling us that parties who are mass gatherings are the ones that are causing the spike now. Now, where do we draw the line? Has the statistics changed? Were they looking at different data in December, November, than they are looking at now? These are things that require candor and honest conversations to be had. And for me, these are times that I then have to put my head on the parapet and say, this is what the data says, and let's be candid with what the data is telling us. And I would end by saying, likewise, the numbers we would see in the next 2 weeks are not a result of the schools reopening. No. They are a result of the behaviors we have shown since the new year and the first week of January. We wouldn't have the ripple effect of the schools reopening for another 10 to 14 days. So we need to bear all these in mind when we are having our conversations around this disease. And stop blaming the wrong people for the situation we find ourselves in. It is sad and heart-wrenching when you hear people who otherwise have to speak to numbers in cryptic manner, speaking to oblivion and blaming others. That wouldn't take us anywhere in this fight. I'm sorry, but I have to say this.
And you know, just to tag on the end of what Kwame just said, so important, the point he's made, making the link between when these people got infected and when we are seeing the mortalities. Okay, so the president even made a statement after he said that Ghanaians have been reckless. He then went further to name some of the events that they recognize or they have identified these who are people who are ill today to have attended. And he talked about parties. He talked about beach. He talked about. He never mentioned rallies.
No.
He never mentioned those. And you see, it reminds me that we have a blind spot. Okay, we have a blind spot. The entirety of our rural areas in this country, where a lot of these rallies were had, is somebody even monitoring these areas to find out the malaria that people are complaining about, whether it has anything to do with COVID-19, to find out whether, you know, the surge in hospital attendance in some of these other towns and cities, whether it has anything to do with COVID-19. Look, contact tracing has collapsed. Let me ask a question.
Do you mean collapse?
But before you do,
a long time.
Let me ask a question.
It ceased.
Just quickly before we go to Edimon. How many of us here have ever been approached by authorities as having been a contact, have been traced as a contact?
Far?
I have.
Cases. I'm telling you, look.
Have you?
Yeah.
Have you, Senor?
I have it, but let me tell you.
How about you, Dr. Bill? Dr. Titus Bill. No, this is important. Dr. Titus Bill, a doctor on the front line, has never been identified as a contact for anyone with COVID-19.
Look, let me tell you. I have family who have had cases. I've had staff who have had cases. Nobody reaches the office to ask anybody anything. Contact tracing, I think, ended somewhere in June or somewhere in May. You understand?
So what data are we using to make decisions?
Maybe you may have been contacted. That's it.
Maybe after
you go and check. Somebody in this office may have got it. It is your management that has taken responsibility to arrange that tracing.
Okay, let me get to Enimo.
It's gone.
Well, let's get to Enimo at this point. She's still going around the schools and she's joined us now with more information. Enimo, good morning again.
Winston, hi. So we're at Osupris now. We just came from Salem, one basic. I'll tell you about that. But let's do Osupris now. I have the headmaster here, Mr. Vincent Eswa. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
So, Winston, there are Veronica buckets around. The children are here in school. They're cleaning. They're getting ready for school. But I have a few concerns, so I'll just speak to Mr. Eswa about it. Mr. Eswa, right now we're standing in the courtyard and some of these children keep on pulling their face masks off their faces.
Yeah, that's true. You find a few of them who do that when there is no teacher around them. So, as they have come today, we will have to continue educating them on the need to ensure that your nose mask is not turned into a chin mask, but it's always covering your nose. And so that education is going to go on, and then I believe that for time they are going to adopt that.
Okay, so just quickly before I go to some of your students, let's talk about the numbers and the spacing in the classroom. Is it going to be possible to physically distance the students because of the numbers that are coming in?
Yes, we will try as much as possible to place them so that they will not be overcrowded.
It's about how many in a class?
Currently, we will do not more than 35.
What's the usual number?
The usual number is 40.
Okay. Okay, so that's just 5.
Yes.
Okay, but there's nothing you can do. I mean, this is the space that you have, so you have to make it work.
Yes, we are trying to ensure that we don't put the children at risk.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me go to some of the students. Good morning. Let me start with you. What's your name?
Good morning. My name is Chris Anthony.
Okay, Chris. So how are you feeling about being back in school?
Oh, for me, I think it's okay. Yeah, we are observing the.
Are you? Because look at your friend over there. He's pulled his face mask down.
Apparently, some of the girls inform them before the test. But the protocol, we are observing it.
Okay. Do you feel like you have been educated enough? Do you understand the seriousness of the situation that you are in right now, so that you will adhere to these protocols?
Yeah, we have been educated enough. We are coping with it. Even though it's difficult, it's just for bacteria. We are coping.
So what are you going to do about your friends who are putting their face masks on their chins?
That one is the administration to work on that. They will try and punish the students who are not wearing the face masks.
Okay, so do you have any fears about COVID?
I'm hearing people are trying and all that. So, I think if we put in the right measures, nothing bad will happen to us.
Okay, so what kind of right measures are you expecting to be put in to keep you safe?
Just like the protocols the government have given to us, that we should wash our hands, we should wear our face masks, we should going out, and we should wash our hands regularly.
Okay, thank you very much. And let me come to another one of the students here. Hi, good morning. What's your name?
My name is Shinaga Edmond.
Okay, so how are you feeling about being back in school?
I feel good because we have time to prepare for our schools. Yeah.
Okay, but what about safety-wise?
We can observe the protocols just as the government has told us to do. Everything is going well. We are observing our protocols and just in the little advice for the students.
Okay, so you're a prefect, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so what are you going to do personally to your friends who are not wearing their face masks or who keep on? And I see 1 in 10 children, when they pass, you see that they pull their face masks under their chin.
I think the advice will do because we can't really, I don't know what to really do about it. I think the advice is to advise on why they need to put on their masks in this time.
Okay, so what about spacing in the classrooms? Have you been to the classrooms yet?
Yes.
Okay, and how do you feel about the seating arrangement?
It's okay because some students have missed out that I've seen so far. Some students have missed out.
Okay, so all in all, you're not afraid, you're not anxious.
I'm also anxious because as the president said yesterday, the cases have risen so far, and we just need to take precautions and follow the protocol.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. So we're going back to the headmaster just to walk through some of the protocols that they have in place. And you were telling me earlier that the government has sent you some thermometers. What other things are you expecting to come from the government this month on the course of the week?
For the Veronica bucket, the thermometers, we are using last semester's one because they are durable. So currently we have 10 thermometer guns. We have about 30 Veronica buckets, including the stationary one, the big drum.
Okay.
So the steps are that at the gate, take your temperature. They ensure you are wearing nose mask. When you enter, you wash your hands. Then you move inside the campus.
Okay. Has your school been mapped to a hospital?
Yes.
Okay, which hospital?
We are mapped to Polytechnic, Adabaka.
Polyclinic. Okay. And what will your school hours be? So what time do you start and what time do you finish?
We are starting lessons at 8 o'clock and then we close at 4.
Okay. Are there any outstanding things that you need the children to be safe?
So now you can see all the children are wearing those masks because they wear them in the houses. So today being Thursday, they are all wearing, but we are expecting some of the nose masks and also come. We give it to them to add to what they have in the house.
Okay.
So that they can always.
So about how many are you in the whole school?
We are expecting 1,500 students.
Wow, that's a lot.
We are expecting 750 Form 2 and then 700 Form 1.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Form 3 and Form 2.
Okay.
750, 700.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. That was Mr. Vincent Iswa. He's a headmaster here at Protect O2. But Winston, let me just share a major concern this morning, and that's the wearing of face masks. There's a big difference when you go to the private schools and when you come to the public schools. A lot of the children have their face masks on their chins or somewhere, just not on their faces. So even as we've been here, we have to keep on prompting them, wear your face mask, wear your face mask, wear your face mask. Now, we also went to Salem Basic 1, and my heart broke in pieces because the children were not wearing face masks. They were cleaning. They looked like laborers, Winston. Like they had come to school this morning to come and clean and scrub and burn rubbish and clean gutters. And it's such a stark difference from when you go to the Morning Stars and the Christ the King, and the schools have been prepared for them, and they're just going there to learn. So I have major concerns this morning, especially about the public schools. And the headmaster also told us that some of the children haven't listened to news. This is the public schools. And so, like their friends have said, okay, school is reopened, but they're not really aware of the COVID situation. You know, they're like, okay, we hear it's getting worse, you know, but there's a certain sort of obliviousness. So there is some cause for concern, Winston, especially with the public schools. And we'll go to them in the course of the week and see, you know, if it's getting better, you know, and if, you know, they've finished cleaning. But I don't really know how I feel about seeing little children scrubbing chairs, cleaning gutters, and wallowing in dirt and burning rubbish, you know, in the morning when really they should be sitting in classrooms learning and not doing all of this without face masks. So that's what's happening in town, Winston.
All right, Enimwa, thank you very much for joining us. So, a bit of contrast. You saw what happened in the private schools. In the public schools, it's different. Those who are wearing face masks are wearing it, you know, beneath their chin, not doing the right thing as expected of them. Some are not even wearing, and they're supposed to be cleaning today for academic work we're told to begin tomorrow. We'll talk about these things also. I still have Kwame Sapon-Esiedu, who is a pharmacist and a fellow at CDD. I have Kojo Yangsing. I have Dr. Titus Bayo, who is Deputy General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association, and Senyo Hosi is the CEO of the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors and also of the is a trustee of the private COVID-19 fund. Stay with us. When we return, we'll continue and also look at the numbers. I mean, the numbers is coming to question, and so there's been some who say, well, these numbers may not be coming from the political activities, they're coming from other activities. The pharmacists and the doctors are here. They know the numbers. They will help us understand where the numbers are coming from and what the data is all about. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
It's learning time! To all moms moms and dads out there, the Ghana Learning Radio Reading Program is expanding and adding Ghanaian languages to the English lessons so your child can boost their learning. Your favorite primary school teachers in Asante Tree, Ekwapin Tree, Dagari, Dabani, Damwe, Eve, Fanti, Gan, Gonja, Kasim, and Nzema will take you and your child from KG2 to B4 through 2 sessions of exciting, interactive, and easy-to-follow Ghanaian language radio lessons that contain stories, games, riddles, and humorous characters. Tune in to all GBC regional and affiliated radio stations near you to enjoy this new way of learning via radio while staying safe during this COVID period. Ghana Learning Radio. Learn to read, read to learn. This message is brought to you by the MOE, GES, GBC, and supported by USAID.
Repeat on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays between 4 to 5 p.m.
Na lamte busianye last week oh. Naso this week omo busianye. Na asesa. As Lamte here say Go TV Max drop in price from 70 Ghana cedis to 60 Ghana cedis month. Biape, they didn't delay cra. Omoko upgrading one time. CCA ye the sports, entertainment, kids shows, and nyama bebre abre Lamte busiamo monia jabroso. Be like the Lamte family. Upgrade the Go TV Max CCA. Share 60 Ghana cedis. Na enjoy maximum entertainment for less. Cafe Dokra. Use the Go TV app no for connect to Go TV Max so and I could pay by the point agent to be in your area for maximum entertainment. Offer valid from 14th January to 31st March 2021. T's and C's apply. Go TV. Love it.
Same great bang.
Because the greatest things are born from the smallest of thoughts. Just as your seeds in a rich soil grow to become trees that bear fruits, the Agricultural Development Bank, ADB, helps you sow, invest, nurture, and grow your personal and business plans by serving you with years of banking ingenuity and experience in agribusiness, corporate and commercial banking, consumer finance, e-banking, and many more through our networked branches across the country. Whatever the culture, whatever the dream, we grow with you. Call us today on 0302-210-210 or visit www.agricbank.com. ADB, truly agric and more.
Bibiara wa melkom Luciano le melkom Nofiano ye melkom. What are you looking for? Melkom got it all. Great discount, don't do. Yamafia so. Best bargains on our days. Everything here is a bargain. High quality, goods be a priority. So tell your mom, tell Poppy, tell your actually everybody.
Your office they shine oh.
Yes, so I tell you say for proper and modern ceiling solutions, the answer be Interface Limited. Them get in stock acoustic ceilings where you go fit make your office fine like my own.
Or even better pass your own self.
We can better pass my own.
Shall I go Interface right now?
Interface Limited is the leading supplier and installer of finishing input materials for the building and construction industry in Ghana. Call us on 0274-999999 or visit our website at
www.interfacelimited.net. Facebook, Interface Limited GH. Instagram, interface.limited.
Health pandemics are not new in the world and will continue to be. Historically, global pandemics dated back to 1918 with the Spanish flu, then psittacosis in 1929, Asian flu in the 1950s, the Hong Kong flu in 1968, HIV and AIDS in 1980s, SARS in the early 2000s, Ebola in 2014, and now coronavirus or COVID-19. One great lesson from this current pandemic is the need to focus on local resource mobilization. But how can Ghana improve its healthcare delivery systems using the COVID-19 pandemic as a lens? The 72nd Annual New Year School and Conference organized by the School of Continuing and Distant Education, College of Education, University of Ghana, is leading the discourse to find feasible and innovative ways Ghana can be resilient to health pandemics. Theme: Building Ghana in the face of global health crisis. Keynote speaker, Dr. Anefi Asamoah Ban. Special guest of honor, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana. Date: January 19 and 20, 2021. Opening ceremony at the Great Hall, University of Ghana, Legon. Time: 9:30 a.m.
Coffee in your cup and Joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet on Joy 99.7 FM. Joy 99.7 FM.
Esha we kunkum nipa Europe we kunkum juma na Africans in the grass and baba she soja suro corona lawyer osuro corona malam suro corona wala wo pastor osuro corona meye na ya tito bia suro corona meye wo na ya tito ina suro.
Well, so that's Kofi Kenyatta coronavirus. That's Ubiara suro corona. Well, let me continue and say that I still have Senyo Hosi here with me, CEO of the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors. Dr. Titus Bay is Deputy General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association. Kojo Yangseng is here. And Kwame Sapon-Asiedu is a pharmacist and fellow of CDD Ghana. But, you know, so we get into the conversation shortly about the data, about the numbers. But before we do that, give your eyes the best attention and care it deserves, because the eyes are our most important sense organ, accounting for about 80% of our awareness of our environment. And with 29 years plus of experience, Robert & Sons Limited Optical Services continues to offer a comprehensive eye care service, which includes all-day comprehensive eye testing with modern equipment, eye specialist services, pediatric eye care services, visual field testing, optical coherence, tomography scan, 100% original and unbeatable frames and optical products, including contact lenses and solutions, corporate eye care services, and much more. Visit Robert & Sons Optical in Adabraka, Osudan Kwaseko, Tema Community 6, Weja, East Legon, Adenta, and Kumasi. For more information, please call 0302-222-601 or 0501-519-111. Or visit us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Robert & Sons Limited. Robert & Sons Optical Services, seeing is believing. And text messages on the Super Morning Show is brought to us by the Glyco Critical Illness Plan, GSIP. GSIP, it's in your best interest to survive. And you know, at Glyco Life, we believe this is the time to protect your future with our life insurance policies. And our products are designed to offer you peace of mind, especially in this COVID-19 era. And so to our policyholders, your claims are very important to us. And we advise you to visit our offices or the Glyco Life website, www.glycolife.com, to lodge your claims for prompt service. We're surviving COVID-19 together, so please pay your premiums via your chosen mode of payment or by Momo on 059-144-1473 or by e-premium for micro insurance to safeguard your policies. Our call center team is ready to support you, so call us on 0202-222-113 for assistance or contact us via our digital channels. We care for your safety, so all our offices are implementing the Ghana Health Service recommended COVID-19 protocols. Please practice social distancing, keep safe, and trust Glyco Life to cushion you for life. So let's talk about the numbers. And Kwame, you made a point. I'll get you, Dr. Bay, usually, but Kwame, you made a point. You talked about what we are seeing now coming from probably the end of November, beginning of December. Help us understand why you believe that's the period within which we're experiencing the current mortalities.
You see, sometimes I think these debates around the numbers and all that are, and whether mass gatherings contribute are unhelpful. Because in one vein, you are telling us that parties and other mass gatherings are contributing. In another vein, you say when it's done by the politicians, it doesn't. That sends mixed messaging. But because you have raised it, I would deal with it, and I'll be very, very basic. I like doing things in an elementary manner so everyone can understand. This is the journey of COVID. when you get initially into contact with someone who has infected you, there is between 2 and 5 days for which, even if a test is done, you wouldn't test positive. That is called the latent period. After the 5th day, or between the 2nd and the 5th day, you could test positive. But after the 5th day, if you are infected, you definitely will test positive. Then, from the 5th day, often, it takes another between 5 and 7 days. So it's normally by the 10th day of you getting infected that you start showing signs. And then another 5 days onwards, you then get to the point where you get better or you get worse. That is what informs the whole 14-day isolation period. So after the 14th day, majority of people would then test negative because their viral load would have gone down or their body would have seen it off. But for the people who get worse and progress into ICU, though they would have tested negative, now the effect of the virus and their battered immune system and what we call the cytokine storm, because your inflammatory response is going up, begins to get them to feel very, very sick. Mind you, by then, most of them would have tested negative. But then all the pneumonias, all the renal failures, all the blood clotting and normal dysregularities would have started. Then that snowballs until whether they go into ICU and they are stabilized because the doctors have treated them properly, or unfortunately they pass away because their systems could not sustain them. So that journey is about a 6-week journey. So even if you go onto the WHO website, reporting of COVID deaths, they always say 28 days after a positive test. That is how globally the results, anybody who dies 28 days after a positive test is considered to have died of COVID. That's how the reports are made. So you need to add 5 days to that 28 days to guess when the person was infected. That makes it 33 days. So the ripple effect of what you see manifesting and causing us concern now didn't start today. And we need to get these basic numbers straight. That is why I cringe when I hear people trying to labor the point and behave as if you have to calculate from the time the person tested positive. Sometimes the person might even have gone past their latent period, might be asymptomatic, and would only avail themselves for a test when they are getting progressively worse. Especially with our current testing regimen, which requires that you have to get progressively worse and then go into a health facility before you fit the case definition and get tested. So majority of the people are actually availing themselves to testing after around day 9, day 10 because of our testing protocol. So when I hear people then, based on this simple arithmetic addition, try and throw dust in my face that mass gatherings at the end of November contributed nothing, I ask myself, am I reading Greek? And I'm sorry, but I'm not. I'm reading epidemiology. And I'm reading the numbers as per the journey of this virus. Dr. Bayo can't disprove if the journey I'm giving and the trajectory is wrong. But this is how I read it. He might add on.
Let me get to Dr. Bayu. Yes, Dr. Bayu, you are the other medical person here. Yeah. What do you say to this?
So I couldn't agree more with Kwame. What he said is science. What he said is epidemiology. That is the normal trajectory of this virus in the world since it came. And so I wish as a country we would have admitted our leaders.
Hold on, Kwame. We'll get back to you shortly, Kwame. Please hold on.
So exactly what he said is what the situation is. And so when we try to disaggregate the figures and try to apportion blame that this virus, some activities did not lead to it, while others led to the spread of the virus, is very, very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. I mean, I think that the political activity, and during the time I had the Minister of Information, I had some senior people in government, senior people in the Ministry of Ghana Health Service saying that the political activity does not contribute to it, and it's very unfortunate. Look, let's look at our country. You don't need a lot of studies to be able to explain why someone would think that way, which is wrong. Who are the people running around the political rallies? Healthy young people. How many people after a rally were tested? No one. When did we say that, okay, after this political rally, we are testing the people to see whether they have gotten an infection or not? We didn't. These people are healthy, fit young people. How many of our grandparents can go and shout and scream in their gatherings? They won't be there. Now, when they get that infection at that period of time, they were not tested. There was no mass testing going on. We had restricted testing to only symptomatic people. Most of these people did not come in for any testing. So if you have not tested them, how then do you say that political activity does not contribute to the spread of the virus?
But isn't that why they say the data they have?
So
because the testing,
Please stop it.
So I'm coming. Let me come. How do you
hold on.
How do you generate the data?
Hold on, Kwame. I'll give all of you a chance. Yes, go ahead.
How do you generate the data? If you deliberately collect data from a particular segment and use it to interpret it for how you want it, then it will give you the kind of information you want.
I mean,
the data is the source of the data is as important as its interpretation. If you are not testing the entire community, you are testing only people who have come to hospital. You are testing people who are sick. Some of whom, by the time you are testing, have no viremia, and therefore you test and they may look negative, but they are having post-COVID syndrome. And you base that your policy on that data. Where are we going to? Honestly, I came into this program hoping that for once the president has stated the situation as alarming and dire, we will come together and look at the way forward. And I have some suggestions on the way forward. But I think if we have to go into the past, let's not try to distinguish and try to make it look like and to implement their own laws the very minute they decided to carry out all the political activities and sought to inform us that those activities did not contribute to COVID spread. How then are you going to tell somebody not to run his watch night service when you have had a political rally then 1 a.m., 2 a.m. with thousands of people?
Yes. Together.
How will you tell people not to go for a party? When you win at a post-election party, you succeed and you go and do a party. How will you tell people not to go for their party? Now, if you say that parties, funerals led to the spread, which of the parties? So does a victory party lead to a spread? Or only wedding parties can lead to a spread? Or only birthday parties can lead to a spread?
But they were also doing their wedding parties.
So the fact is that let's all as a group of people, thankfully, I keep saying that if COVID had affected Ghana in a year that was without election,
it would have been
our
a fantastic
fight
attack.
would have been perfect.
Would
And we
have been
began
fantastic.
very well until
Fantastic.
the exigencies of election came to destroy all that we've done. The beginning point of our trouble is elections. Christmas and the festivities followed, and those who could do the correction because of their own actions could not do the correction because they had lost that moral right. So now we've all gone into a mess. As a nation, how do we move forward? It is not by apportioning blame.
Thank you.
Let's admit that this is what has happened.
Responsibility.
Let's
And start
take
leading
responsibility.
by example.
And let us look at the way forward.
Winston.
How do we improve our testing capacity? That is key.
You see,
and then we go from there.
Testing is one thing.
Yes.
The bigger problem you have is tracing. Because when people fail to trace, will also fail to adequately test. Take one person. If one person every fortnight who is infected infects two people, and they also take another fortnight, you're actually now going to have in a year 2 raised to the power 26. That's an exponential factor of 26. That is 67 billion threats of reinfections. For one person that is not traced and the continuation of that tracing not happening, that is the threat that we have as a country. And this is not rocket science. The people who run policy are more competent to actually work this out much simpler. And they are aware. We need to get back our tracing. Almost nobody is traced by the state system today. When your case, after you said you were traced, when we went to it, you realized that you were never traced. It was your own company that ended up arranging further testing for you. It's the same thing with almost everybody. You know somebody who has it. When the person tells you, you either voluntarily go and test. That's what's happening. There's no tracing happening in this country. And tracing has not been happening, and it's been deliberate. It would be dishonest on anybody's part to come and look at anybody's face and say that numbers are low when you know you are deliberately not tracing to suppress the numbers. I don't know when the COVID numbers now became a KPI for any government. That nonsense must stop. Nobody should carry COVID matter as a KPI. What we want to see is responsible governance, open information, be honest about the data, because people react to that data. When people are seeing that data is coming down, people generally for the idea no echo. When you're not letting people know the real story, people will not act appropriately. When you are not living by proper example, people will also follow your own lead. You can't have political leaders of our country that we all look up to, one failing to enforce things deliberately. You see a policeman not wear a mask, and you're expecting the policeman to come and catch me for not wearing a mask. Okay. You see a senior government official organizing parties big time, and you are saying that I shouldn't organize my parties, I shouldn't organize my funerals. I mean, this weekend, how many funerals did our politicians attend? How big were those funerals? Funerals are back to the normal sizes. There has been very weak leadership in the management of COVID in the last few, because we have not had a good example. I'll wrap up with this. What Bayu is saying is critical. How do we move from here? That is the most important thing.
We'll come to
that.
One,
I'm going to come out. I want to wrap it up, make my submission. Sammy, why are you heckling me?
No, we'll come back to that. Yes, could you?
Yes, very quickly. So first of all, the infection rate is a lot worse than Senyor's very conservative calculation.
He's 67 million threats of infection from one person.
And he's thinking about one person infecting another every 2 weeks. But that figure, the R0 rate, it's actually calculated daily. Yeah. And it's 1 to every 2 people. So what you are assuming will happen, every 2 weeks actually happens every day. Okay. The second thing is this. Look, it's true, there's no contact tracing going on. Certainly, the 4 of us here have never been contact traced by the Ghana Health Service. None of us here have been contact traced by the Ghana Health Service. So if there's no contact tracing going on, that means there's no data on who is infecting whom. So when you hear a politician saying that the data does not suggest that rallies were a source of spread, what they are actually telling you is that we did not collect any data. And based on the data we did not collect, there is no spread through political rallies. Okay? Now, the last thing I want to say is this. Statisticians are scientists. They are not soothsayers. They are not malams or juju men. They don't guess. They use numbers. Okay? It is a science. So how can science tell you that there are people who got the disease by attending parties? Parties spread the disease, but rallies don't. So basically, the virus, it comes to the event and asks, "What event is this?" "Oh, this is a rally." All right, I can't spread here. Because that will mess up. That will mess up the statistics. Okay. So let me go and spread at a party instead. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
You know what?
Why are we being asked to even accept this? Why are our leaders asking us to accept this? What level of thinking do they actually think we operate at? It's unfair for them to expect us to swallow that.
What's going to happen right now is that we need to go for some few messages. We'll come back and look at the way forward. I still have yes, Kwame Sapon Siedu here with me. Kojo Yangsing is here. Dr. Titus Bayu is here, and Senyor Osi is here. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Joy 99.7 FM.
Kaja Israel, Kaba Egypt, Kaja Ethiopia, Sudan, Waja Shong. Kaja Kushima, Wanime Kona, Waja Shong.
Joy 99.7 FM.
Ghana, Mali, Sumanguru, Waja Shong. Waja Shong.
Coffee in your cup. Enjoy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet. Joy 99.7 FM.
What's that to do, Israel, Kaba Egypt, Ethiopia, Sudan, what a show. Aquacaba, Juma, 1 year, Afo, Kalacha, I catch my 1 year, and in young friend. Aquacaba, Juma, 1 year, Afo, Kalacha, I catch my 1 year, and in young friend.
Joy 99.7 FM.
I'm a girl, young what to, I'm a girl, young what to move. I'm a girl, young what to, I'm a girl, young what to, I'm a girl, young what to move. I'm a girl when you want to move in, catch you walk
We lead, others follow. This is Joy 99.7 FM.
What would you do if you have the choice to do anything in life? Build your dream house, take very good care of your family, and plan for a comfortable retirement. Plan a befitting funeral for your loved ones when they depart. How would you live if you knew there was a friend waiting to support you on all of your life's choices?
You have such a friend in Glyco Life Insurance. Glyco Life has all the plans to meet your life's needs. Your child's education, your life savings, your mortgage, funerals, redundancy, and your retirement, and takes the burden off your shoulders. So go ahead and live life to the fullest today with Glyco Life Insurance plans. And remember that all our policies are hedged against inflation. Talk to Glyco Life on 0302 218 500 or 246 142. Also visit our website at www.glycolife.com or any of our branches nationwide for more information.
Glycolife, we cushion you for life.
Glyco, we cushion you for life.
There is nothing more precious than life. As a driver, your precious life and those of your passengers are in your hands at all times. So do not overspeed, don't drink and drive, no wrong overtaking, and if you're tired, stop and rest. Always be on the lookout for pedestrians and stop for them to cross, especially children. The National Road Safety Authority wants us all to look out for ourselves, protect each other, and arrive alive. Thank you.
The family needs you alive. Everyone needs you alive. Arrive alive.
Na lamte busianye last week oh. Naso this week omo busianye. Edie na asesa. As Lamte here say Go TV Max drop in price from 70 Ghana cedis to 60 Ghana cedis month. Bia pe, they didn't delay kra. Omoko upgrading 1 time. CCA ye the sports, entertainment, kids shows, and niyama bebre abre Lamte busiamo mania jabroso. Be like the Lamte family. Upgrade the Go TV Max CCA. Tier 60 Ghana cedis. Na enjoy maximum entertainment for less. Cafe Dokra. You see Go TV app no for connect with Go TV Max so and I could pay by the point agent to be in your area for maximum entertainment. Offer valid from 14th January to 31st March 2021. T's and C's apply. Go TV, love it.
Coffee in your cup and joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet on Joy 99.7 FM.
Well, we have come far, and this is where we've reached as a country. Welcome back, and thank you very much for staying with us here on the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. I still have Senyo Hosi, Dr. Titus Bayu, Kwame Sapon-Siri, and Kojo Youngson here with me. So we're talking about, the data. The fact that the data doesn't support the fact that political rallies are the cause of the increasing numbers of COVID-19. Listen to Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah address that particular issue as he spoke to MFR Pau on the probe.
There's nothing that the president says that he's not being sincere about. In all this COVID-19 response program, he does take every decision and every step with the highest level of sincerity and responsibility. Today, for example, he's been in the chair for about 5 hours, arriving at some of these final decisions before announcing them in the country. And he doesn't take these decisions lightly at all. Now, you need to separate the current uptick in cases from our ability to live and continue our lives while the virus remains in the global ecosystem. With the current uptick in cases, as the president explains, the detailed analysis of the new positives that we have is that during the Yuletide season, a lot of us were reckless. The recklessness at many of the gatherings.
Not just the Yuletide, the election period also. The election period, not just the Yuletide. The campaigning.
Well, if you take the election period, I'm sure the doctors in the studio will tell you the data will not support that argument. I know it's fanciful for us to make that argument. Election period was on the 7th of December, thereabouts. So you're looking at about 14 days around that period. You don't see those numbers. But the Yuletide, the 25th coming to the New Year era, you'll notice, and they even have specifics when they do the tracing, they have specifics of events under which persons turned positive, which is now what is leading to the about 200 average cases a day. There's clear data and clear science to support this argument. So I want us to be very clear on that one.
Right, so that's former Information Minister Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah talking about the data not supporting what we've been saying. I mean, I'm sure you've dealt with it, Dr. Bayo. You want to go back and add a thing or two?
Well, it's unfortunate. I would beg to differ on that, and I think we've made that point very clear. That the act of segregating and trying to prove this doesn't help. If you choose to collect data at a particular point in time and use that for information, you cannot say that when you did not collect the data did not contribute. Okay, what was the testing rate 2 weeks after the election? Give us the figures.
What was the tracing?
What was the testing rates?
Tracing ended over 6
the
months
people
ago.
who got infected now, who did they get it from? And where did those people get it from?
Exactly.
What has been the spread in the community? So I think as a nation, collectively, we have all let our guard down. Beginning from the politics, through the youth,
very wrong example,
and all of us together. So I would wish that this disaggregation doesn't come in because it doesn't help the matter. I think I've made this point clear. Thank you.
Yes, let me bring Kojo in to tell us some of the messages that some of the things you've been saying, because I know lots of you have been joining us with your thoughts and have been, talking to us about what you make of COVID-19. But let me get to you. We'll read a message shortly, but let me get to you, Senyo. Briefly, some of the things you think we should be doing going forward.
Well, speak like what Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah just made must stop. We must be very responsible people. We put people into office to show proper leadership and ownership of the entire state situation. I don't think government has been optimal. Government has failed the people on this particular part of it. They've not been a good example, and their enforcing mechanism has been poor. There's been no tracing, no tracing. So just stop that thing. I mean, it's a bad story. I don't want, and I think that someone like Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah has a reputation that is much bigger than his office, and he must always be minded about that. Somebody I look up to. I love that guy so much. I don't want to hear him say things like this. But let's move on. 1, start tracing. Putting the right testing mechanisms to support active tracing. Don't start just wait for people who are extremely sick to start attending to them and booking them as members of the COVID fraternity right now. No, start doing the right things. We have our borders. Our borders need to be fixed. There are new strains coming from different countries. You've heard our medics here say that when people pick COVID, you have some 2 to 5 or 2 to 3 days, something of that sort, where you possibly will not even be able to pick any test, a positive test, when you take a sample from that particular patient. We are taking strains we are very unsure of how to manage that. Please, we need to close our borders to countries that have this particular situation. I think the UK is one, South Africa is another, and probably some parts of South America. Let's take this thing very, very seriously. When our health system crashes, our economy will crash because it's people who run the economy. We have to safeguard our economy. We have a very fragile economy. And my heart really goes to Ken Ofori-Atta. He's doing everything to hold everything together. But we must let our political administration or our policy administration proper. And my word to the president, I think you have major challenges with your policy advisory team as far as COVID is concerned. The management system there is weak. I think there's this honesty in there. People are managing information for you. And I can understand. Presidency is about the loneliest job you find in the whole wide world.
Okay.
People tell you what they want you to hear. It's not time for that. It's time that we need full and optimum leadership. And that will start with some real honesty to the people. Thank you.
Yes, let's get to some messages. Kojo, what's Twitter saying?
Okay, we've got a few from Twitter and from WhatsApp.
Okay.
On Twitter, tweeting at Kwiku_Joe says, I'm currently in an Ayalolo bus. We're packed like sardines with few people in nose masks. Majority of those without nose masks are the women going to the market, and they won't keep quiet too. They actually don't believe there is COVID. Now, this is a message from, she's called Big Mama. She says, good morning, Kojo. My thoughts exactly. We are reopening to wait and see. Is this an experiment to see how it goes? The attitude of Ghanaians in general leaves a lot to be desired. I realize the lives of my children are in my hands. My son is in JHS 1, but will be home until I see something convincing. I'm not a happy camper. There are a few more. Let me see if I can share. This one says, Life International School in Tema is on top of their game. Temperature checks and recorded for everyone entering, hand washing and sanitizing, practiced, mask wearing observed, even the toddlers, which I think is interesting and not sustainable though. School authorities are encouraging parents to observe and point out to them what they are missing, so they put in place, which I find very encouraging. A few more tweets, if you don't mind.
Yes, we'll come back to you shortly, but let me just get
All
to
right.
Dr. Bayi.
Yeah, so I think going forward, I just want to make a brief statement about the going forward.
Yes.
We've talked about the improved
Because we'll
testing.
deal more with it tomorrow, yes.
Yes, but I just want to say that I want to call on the Ghana Health Service, the Ministry of Health, and all stakeholders following the statement by the President to re-engage and let's find solution. And when I talk about finding solution, currently we have people roaming around frantically trying to get ICU space and they are not getting.
It's terrible.
How are we resolving that? We had discussed mapping of specialists to facilitate, because as we are looking at the preventive point, we also look at the care. Because now we are getting more people sick. How we are reactivating and reopening most of our treatment centers. How are we mapping our workforce to those places? I think it's a critical discussion that must be had now and not later.
So
Okay,
just
10 seconds, we need to wrap it up.
Yeah, I mean, there are major issues with supplies too, with some of the existing facilities. You have a place like Ghanaians has been struggling with oxygen every now and then. I have had to arrange about 120 canisters of oxygen, cylinders of oxygen myself. And it doesn't make sense. You know, I expect that government should be in the forefront of this when we have our facilities stretched. As Ghanaians, we need to also become responsible. The fact that the politicians have participated or probably not led us as we should doesn't warrant us being irresponsible. We need that collective responsibility as a country to overcome this. So the education must get back. We need to heighten the sense of urgency like was the case before.
Senor.
With the data coming up right, I think that will help, but we need a lot more education with the support from the media as well.
Thank you very much, Senor. But start off your year by stepping up with DSTV, and you know what, DSTV, we're giving you more of the entertainment you and your family like. So fasten your seatbelts as DSTV takes you higher with more epic live soccer, exciting local drama, and the best kids show. Now, my people, all you have to do is starting from January 14 to March 31, upgrade your current DSTV package to the next one, and DSTV will bump you up to the one above that at no extra cost. It's that simple. So, for example, let's say you have access. All you do is to pay for family, and DSTV will give compact at no extra cost. Follow us with the hashtag DSTV Step Up for more, or call us on 0302 740 540. That's all time would allow us. Thank you very much, Kwame. Thank you also, Dr. Titus Bayi. Thank you very much, Senyo. And I've been here with Kojo Youngs. And that's all from us here on the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. A big thank you to the production team. I leave you with DJ Obetsi.
It's 10 o'clock. Here are the headlines from the Joy Newsroom.